In what ways do you advocate for MS, or are you involved with MS Canada, as it's not the MS Society anymore?
Yeah, MS Canada, new brand name. That's been pretty exciting and
Yeah.
cool. I'm game for it, by the way. I think MS Canada is like way sleeker, way better. I love the collaboration.
Mhm.
Side note, anyways, here for it. So I've been advocating for
Mhm.
MS. I would say, like, personally, since the day I got diagnosed, because I had nurses that I worked with walking into my hospital room
Mhm.
from day one and doctors involved in my diagnosis
Yeah.
that I worked with. So
Yes.
I never like had a coming out party. I never had
Right.
like a disclosure thing. Like, the world knew I had MS as soon as I knew I had
Okay.
MS.
Okay.
And so I just felt from like that very moment I was advocating for it, because people looked at me and they were just like, "What? No, you're fine. Like, they can't believe this."
Yeah.
And then a girlfriend of mine did the bike that first year
Mhm.
for me. And then I got involved in the Leduc to Camrose bike after
Mhm.
that. So fundraising, was a top fundraiser for
Mhm.
a few years for the bike, did
Mhm.
the Tour Champions in Philadelphia. And then as my disease progressed, I moved to the walk and then
Mhm.
just remained being a top fundraiser for
Yeah.
that. And then this year, I'm actually going to be part of the planning committee. So I'm a
Nice.
little bit excited about getting like a little bit deeper involved versus just
Mhm.
being a participant.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so my advocation always came through like just
Yeah.
that big fundraising I did. And then through being labeled as a top fundraiser and with doing those things, I just started doing a lot of public speaking for
Mhm.
MS Canada. I was just asked to come to corporations that would be involved in the bike and just share
Right.
my story and kind of just bring awareness to it that way. I spoke at MS Golf, I've spoken at the Dinner of Champions. And so just a lot of public speaking, I started
Mhm.
getting asked for those engagements. And then that led to being involved with the young adult committee. And then I
Mhm.
would say that that's what like really kind of spurred the
Mhm.
advocation, as I got involved with
Yeah.
government relations and got in
Yeah.
contact with the people in MS Canada that
Mhm.
are involved with that. And then I continue to do that. So I've done Day on the Hill now for 3 years, and I'm coming to
Mhm.
Ottawa this year. So
Okay.
I'm very excited about that. It will
Mhm.
be really cool to actually do
Mhm.
that in person.
Right.
And then, yeah, just that's kind of been the biggest stuff that I've been
Okay.
doing.
What advice would you give someone who is just diagnosed with MS?
Well, that's always like such a loaded
I
question.
know.
It's
I
like
know.
hard. Everyone deals with it especially because everyone deals with it so differently, right? But I guess my biggest part, like, advice would be that like it's okay to be confused, and like it's okay to question these things, and it's okay that you're not looking like everybody else
Mhm.
with MS. Like, I think that that's been a really big hard thing I've heard from a lot of different people, is like the
Mhm.
stories are the same, but the stories are so different, and like a lot of confusion. And so I would also say, like, just really advocate for yourself too,
Mhm.
like know your body and like know what's going on, and kind of keep true to yourself that way.
Mhm.
And then also, I would say, try to find some type of support, whether it's within your family, outside of your family,
Mhm.
people who have MS, people who
Mhm.
don't have MS, whatever you think like suits you. But you are going to need somebody, or else it's going to get a little dark at times. And I think that's something also to be
Mhm.
real
Yeah,
about, is
exactly.
like, don't think that you're going to skate through this, that you're going to like get your diagnosis, put it in a box, say you've dealt with it,
Yeah.
and like put it to the side. That's probably been the biggest learning thing
Yeah.
I've learned, is like 8 years in and being like, and you probably know this even better than I do, 17 years in, being like, no, I'm like still processing it. I'm like
Yeah.
still
Like I
accepting
say,
it.
like I'll say to my friends, and I'm like, I've had this for so long. Why can't I learn? Why is this affecting me? I'm like, I should just be, this is just everyday thing for me. Why does it still surprise me?
Oh, that makes me feel so much better that I'm not
Yeah.
alone in that, Candice.
It's
So
like you
thank you
never
for
really
admitting
get a
that.
handle on it. You do, but you don't, I
No.
find.
Yes, and a girlfriend of mine actually made me feel so much better about it, because she was like, "But it keeps changing, so of course you can't get a handle on it." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Thank you for acknowledging
Mhm.
that it does keep changing." So like, yeah, the thing that worked yesterday isn't working today.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly.
So no, I appreciate you admitting that, because yeah, it's tough to, like, it's tough to admit, especially coming from a healthcare background,
Yes.
of being like, no, this is still a challenge
Mhm.
every day.
Mhm.
And yes, I look fine, but no, I'm not going back to work. So please leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Do you still are you still like classes RN, or are you like RN retired?
So
How does that work
basically
in that?
what I've had to do with so I'm officially unemployed. I'm on long-term disability. I have been terminated from my position. So I have a non-practicing license currently
Okay.
in Alberta. So
Okay.
I'm legally not allowed to practice. I would
Okay.
probably have to take a few courses. So I'm like a
Right.
non-registered member of
Okay.
my registered community or
Okay.
whatever, or regulatory body, sorry, is what it's called.
Okay.
Um, and that's been a huge struggle for me, and that's been a huge identity struggle for me. And I could talk for like 45 minutes on just that aspect of this journey
Yeah.
alone. Actually, that's something I'm really proud of about the advocacy I've done. I've been involved in developing the job, like a online tool to help people living with disabilities go
Mhm.
through like adaptations that they may need for work,
Nice.
and now also developing a tool about communicating with your
Mhm.
employer,
Mhm.
employees, coworkers about episodic disease and disclosing versus not disclosing and things. So that's been cool to be involved in, because leaving work at a young age and young into my career was really, really hard. But I'm like slowly coming to a place of
Yeah.
realizing that taking care of me full is like my
Mhm.
full-time job now, and like volunteering, like having this purpose
Yeah.
outside of sharing my story and whatnot has helped. But
Yeah,
it's
and
been
I totally get it. Like, I was put off work permanently last fall, but I had been off work anyway for 3 years. But, like,
right.
when you get, like
The
when you're not put
permanent.
off permanently, there's still the hope. Then the
Yes.
permanent is, and you're like, "Who am I? I've done
Thank
this job for
you.
so long." Like, you went to school specifically for it.
Yeah.
Um, I've done this job for so long, like, who am I? What's my
Who am I?
purpose? Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I feel
very much who am I? And also with our age group, it's like
Yep.
the first question people ask, what do you
Mhm.
do for work?
Yeah.
I went to the dentist the other day and I
Yeah.
ended up lying to the dental hygienist about working still, because I couldn't bear telling her like my medical history of
Yeah.
MS and being off work. I was like, I don't want to get into this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a day off. I'm a shift worker. I'm a
Yeah,
nurse.
I've done the exact same thing.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, I don't want to tell my, because that's the hard thing. And I've talked to my family about this, like,
Yeah.
what's my line? Like, I don't want to tell people my medical history,
Mhm.
but I'm not working, but I
Mhm.
kind of sound like a privileged white lady living at
Mhm.
home, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just off with my dog, because I also don't have children.
Mhm.
So, like, the questions,
Yep.
people don't
Exactly.
understand that they're loaded. They're every day for everybody else,
Right.
but they're loaded for us.
Exactly. Here, I just wanna thank you so much again, for agreeing to be on here.